Welcome to RNS. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Evan.
Real Nerd Stuff.
Real Nerd Stuff. The
Asterisks,
new title.
Yeah.
The new title.
So real quick, we're going to talk about Shrek today. We're going to get into that in a second, but I just want to say if you do wind up enjoying this episode, leave a like. If you have any cool thoughts about Shrek, leave a comment. If you have any cool subscribes, leave a subscribe.
Please do all of that.
Please do all of that. It helps us out. And yeah, generally, like for me, when I'm watching a YouTube video, they have to earn it. So later on, if you're like, oh, that was a cool fact about Shrek, or that was a cool thought about Shrek, leave a like then.
I disagree. Leave a like right now, please.
Actually, you know what? Just go all that. Oh, damn. Censor that. Forgo all of that and leave a like right now. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So you're saying we're not allowed to curse anymore within...
No, the first minute or two, you can't curse because YouTube will take you out the algorithm, basically. And they won't show you to nobody, so we're going to try and avoid that. And also, yeah, we changed the name of the podcast for the metadata.
Yeah.
But Evan also made an Instagram for the podcast. What is it called?
At Real Nerd Stuff Pod.
There you go. At Real Nerd Stuff Pod on Instagram.
It's in the description as well.
Evan, do you want to talk real quick about any cool comic book news?
Any cool comic book news?
Any cool comic book news real quick?
Like what? I don't know.
For example...
I guess we never talked about the No Way Home trailer.
You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
What is your favorite thing about the No Way Home trailer? The pumpkin bomb?
Yeah, because Willem Dafoe's laugh in the pumpkin bomb. Like, is there anything else?
It's funny because when that came out, well, Doc Ock, yeah.
No, Doc Ock's awesome, yeah. But I'm like, what else could... I mean, I like Doc Ock and I like Spider-Man 2 more than Part 1 personally. But Willem Dafoe Green Goblin, it's just like the best superhero villain ever.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome.
Superhero movie villain.
And it was funny because when the trailer actually dropped, the first thing you did was message me and you were like, I've literally squeed when I saw this and you sent the pumpkin bomb. And I was like, really? Like, not Alfred Molina? You didn't care about that much? But
no, of course, the Alfred Molina was hyped.
Well, he was the only one where he went on interviews and he was like, yeah, I'm in it.
Yeah.
Like, Willem Dafoe hasn't gone that far yet, so it was kind of a confirmed, like, he is in it for a fact, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it was not a huge fan of MCU Peter Parker. I liked the Spider-Man 2 suit. Like, actually, not the superhero suit, but like the three-piece type suit, whatever it is.
Oh.
The formal suit that Tom's wearing looks like Toby's suit.
In Spider-Man 3.
In Raimi.
In Spider-Man 3.
That's kind of cool. People, like, literally I saw a theory that was like, did they face replace Toby? I was like, no, like, Toby is thick. You didn't know. There's no way that would be him.
Some people were saying, like, oh, is he actually when he says hello, Peter, Doc Ock at the end? Is he
talking to Toby?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think he is. I don't know. But
I don't think he is just because...
It seems weird to me that he would recognize Tom Holland.
Well, they mentioned this on the famous podcast, the Weekly Planet podcast. Okay. But I think it makes sense that he would just come out, see a bunch of billboards that's like, Peter Parker is Spider-Man! And he's like, oh, Peter Parker's also Spider-Man in this universe. Yeah. Maybe he knows he's in a different universe. And he's like, hello, Peter.
Yeah, that's possible, too.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I guess
because I don't think they would show... Generally, for a while, Marvel doesn't show... Or even Disney in general, they don't really show too much from the second half of the movie in the trailer. Is that about right?
I guess so.
I think so. So I don't think he's talking to Toby. I'm not sure, though. But anyways, terrible movies aside, let's talk about a cool movie.
Talking about Shrek Part 1.
Shrek Part 1. The classic movie. Evan, what is your least favorite Shrek character?
My least favorite Shrek character?
Is it the PS1 gnomes?
Yes, the gnomes. I guess we'll get into them in a little bit.
That's
the really PS1 funny. Gnomes. But they're kind of funny. They're endearing also, the PS1 gnomes.
They're charming in a way.
Yeah.
They're charming in a way.
And also kind of terrifying.
It's cool. It's kind of cool seeing Shrek 1, though, because it's
been a while since I've watched it.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've watched any of the Shrek movies, but what I was going to say is...
and the one I would always watch as a kid was Part 2, so I was like, watching Part 1 again, I kind of gained a new appreciation for it.
Shrek 2 is maybe the best one.
Yeah. But sorry, you were saying?
I'm always partial to the first movie in any franchise, really, if it's good, but... What was I saying? Oh, it's just charming, kind of and interesting, the way that the effects, like how they've aged and everything, because it's like, this is better than something like Toy Story 1, but it's like, there are some, like you're talking about, like the close-ups sometimes don't look great,
yeah.
And there's also, of course, the filler gnomes that look like PS1 characters. They don't look too great. But a lot of it is aged pretty good.
Yeah,
a lot of it is aged pretty good. Yeah. Probably, I think when
all the character designs are good. They're memorable, yeah. So
And Shrek has he has his iconic ears. I wonder if that's from the book. Probably, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That's pretty like clever, like for marketing, I guess. His weird ears.
You were saying before we recorded the podcast that you actually didn't know that it was based on a book until we watched it yesterday.
Until we watched it last night, I didn't know it was based on an actual book. I wonder how close it is to the movie. It's interesting.
I don't think they're very similar.
No?
Yeah, because like we were also talking about this. I watched one of the 101 fact videos.
Those fucking amazing.
Yeah,
101
and I think he was saying it's like not very similar to the book, just like the character and stuff.
Is that so? We were talking about we had to re-record this.
Yeah.
Because the other one was bad, and we were mentioning how Chris Farley was originally Shrek. Mm-hmm. Is the storybook closer to the Chris Farley version of the movie?
That I really don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah, but I know, like we were talking about this as well. In the Chris Farley version, he was originally supposed to be like a teenager who wanted to be a knight.
Yeah, like a teenage ogre who wanted to be a knight. Yeah. And
we were both kind of agree that we're glad the movie didn't end up going that route.
Yeah, because it's like... that would feel more like a Kung Fu Panda or something.
Yeah, kind of,
Kung Fu Panda is good, but like... I think that gets away with it because everyone in that movie is basically a human despite them being an animal. But in this, everyone's much more tied to their like tropes and everything.
Yeah, Shrek being like the grumpy, like you were talking about, he's kind of the straight man of all the fairy tale people. It works for him.
That really works.
Yeah.
And he's just like forced into being a knight, and like the scene with him and Fiona for the first one is really good.
Yeah.
So you want to start talking about like the course of the movie, the plot of the movie, Evan?
Yeah, so the movie opens up with him basically reading what's Fiona's story, I guess, or just like you said, a generic princess story about a princess locked in the castle waiting for her true love. The castle is guarded by a dragon, etc. And Shrek's like, oh, basically he says, what a load of shit, and he wipes his ass with it. And
then you get a few, like, that's one thing too about this movie is it's a little more adult than I remember.
It is, yeah.
You know, there's a few dams in there.
I remember people always say that, like, oh, Shrek, it had these jokes that go over kids' heads, but there's actually a lot.
There is.
Yeah.
There is.
So yeah, Shrek, he wipes his ass and busts out of an outhouse.
The iconic Shrek entrance.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. And is that Blink-182?
No, it's Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth. That's what it's called. That's what it's called.
All-Star Smash Mouth.
They sound very similar, to be fair, though. But
you think so?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Blink-182 and Smash Mouth, yeah.
What do you mean, like the singer sounds the same?
The whole band.
No.
Yes.
I don't even like Blink-182 or something, but they don't sound the same.
They sound similar.
Really?
Yeah.
After this, listen to What's My Age Again.
Okay.
And then listen to All-Star. I don't think they sound like. Okay. But anyways,
So he take poop. He wipe his ass with the storybook.
And then we just kind of see how Shrek is living his life.
Yeah, you see him prepare all his disgusting like human parts that he eats and all that.
He's taking a mud bath.
Yeah, he takes a mud bath. And then what else? What happens in this part? Does he just like the fairy tale creatures just bombard his shit? Is that what happens?
No, that's not yet.
You see like the sale thing, right?
What do you mean?
Like them selling the characters, the little characters.
Oh, well, still in the intro. The first thing we get is the villagers. I guess they're like drunk or something. They come to try and kill Shrek.
Like a classic like Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, like the villagers get into a mob and they come try and kill Shrek, and he's clearly been through this a million times.
Yeah, I'm gonna say,
and he loves it.
This is like kind of the first, like right away you kind of see that Shrek, even though he does play up the part of the monster, he's like, oh, I'm a big scary ogre. He said I'm worse than a giant. He doesn't actually attack any of them.
No, he doesn't hurt anybody, no.
Yeah.
He doesn't hurt nobody until later.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know, kind of the first part where you see, well, Shrek isn't really what he looks like. He has more going on to him, which is the big theme of the movie.
Yeah.
So he lets them just go off.
Yeah, I think there's an aspect of like he enjoys it just because that's what he's stuck in.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a familiarity
he plays
to
it up,
He plays it up, yeah, exactly. And I love the part where he licks his fingers and turns the torch off. That's really funny.
Oh yeah, with one of the villagers tortured, right? Yeah. So he just scares them off, and
he's like, "This is the part where you run away." It's classic Shrek. That's one of the first times where the movie really shows its age. Like the intro looks fine, but then in this part, the part where he screams into the camera, his mouth and stuff does not look too great.
So we were talking about this, and this becomes more apparent with Donkey because Donkey has all the hair.
Yeah.
When they do the close-ups on any of the characters in this movie, that's really when you can see how the animation hasn't aged. So
yeah, really with everyone, but
yeah.
when you get like a mid shot or whatever, you know, those look good. Those look fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything beyond, like you were saying, like a close up, looks pretty good.
Yeah. But the design, like, all the characters having very unique designs and stuff, it makes up for...
The actual, right, the actual designs look good.
Yeah. But, and at the time, they say, like, the animation was amazing. But just in 2021, you can see some of the
Do you know
the
who
flaws
won
in it.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who won the animation Oscar in 2001?
It was Shrek, because that was the very
first...
It was
Shrek?
Yeah, that was the very first time the Oscars ever did the Best Animated Movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Shrek won the very first Best Animated Movie Oscar.
Oh, how about that? There's a fun fact for you. Leave a like.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was Shrek. So it did make history in that way.
Oh,
yeah.
Shrek made all kinds of history. Yeah.
So after that, that's when we first get introduced to Donkey. So you see, like, basically all the characters are, like, the villagers or, like, people who are kind of associated with the fairy tale creatures. Like, we see Geppetto and Peter Pan. They're selling off, like, the fairy tale creatures because this is a big plot point. Farquaad, who's, like, I guess that's the closest kingdom to where
like
Shrek swamp
technically
is.
all Shrek shit and everything around there falls under his
Yeah,
kingdom or
basically,
whatever.
yeah. Well, he wants to get rid of all the fairy tale creatures.
Yeah, he
from
wants
his
to commit
kingdom.
genocide.
Basically,
on the magical characters.
Yeah. So he's getting rid of all. It's actually true. Well, I don't know. Like, does he want to commit genocide or just get rid of them? He's not opposed to killing them, I don't think.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
no,
but
he'll
he
kill
just
them.
so he's like getting rid of them from his kingdom and putting them in the swamp, selling them, whatever. I guess he was. They don't really explicitly say, but I guess he was selling them. Getting villagers to sell them for money, so he could transport them all to Shrek's swamp. I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's kind of like
you
when
see
they have
some of the characters who end up in Shrek's swamp later here in this scene.
It reminds me of like when I feel like I've heard about this. I might be completely making this up. I don't know why. I don't know why this came to my mind, but it reminds me of like maybe it's from a story or maybe it's from real life. I don't know. When people get rid of guns or like a country or a state or some shit.
Oh, they buy back.
The government buys the guns.
Yeah.
So you have incentive to actually bring it in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
I think that is what it's
which
like.
Which is weirdly realistic.
No, yeah. And it almost is on like some kind of like Holocaust.
Yeah.
Shit, like
well, it looks like a slave trade.
Yeah. Like we see the three bears in the cage and stuff, and this seems actually kind of funny because the small bear is like, "This is so small.
This cage too small."
Yeah.
Poor bear.
Yeah. No, it's scary. I never thought about how it's like has a bunch of kind of like Nazi and Holocaust type. I don't want to say imagery, but like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
At least like that kind of
like implications. Yeah. I never thought about that at all as a kid, but that's clearly what they're going for here. And yeah, they're getting rid of all the fairy tale creatures. So some of the ones we see are like Geppetto selling off Pinocchio. Like I said, the three bears. Peter Pan is selling Tinkerbell. I think this is kind of the first instance where we see some of the Disney parodying going on. Because for those of you who don't know, Jeffrey Katzenberg, he's the founder of DreamWorks, or one of the founders, him and Steven Spielberg. And he was fired from Disney. And they say like ever since then, he like completely fucking hates Disney.
Yeah.
I forgot who was like in charge of Disney at the time. I think Eisner. That's
Maybe.
his name. Yeah.
Eisner.
Will
Eisner? Is that his name?
I don't know. It's something Eisner.
Yeah.
He has like a grudge against him, and so a lot of people say like this whole movie, because it's never been said explicitly, is like just parodying Disney a little bit, and that's why we see a lot of those fairy tale creatures who we've seen.
Yeah,
Disney
not
movies.
even just in. Obviously, it's parodying Disney in the sense of like, there's Pinocchio being sold to a slave trade or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's also the aspect of
Farquaad Farquaad and Duloc are like Disney and Disneyland.
Yeah,
which we'll get to in a little bit.
But there's also we were talking about this last night. There's an aspect of like, kind of shitting on their business practices at the time.
Yeah.
Then there's also that element of it too, which that's especially because you don't really need to say like, oh, this is Disneyland. Like that's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But there's also like a lot of animation fans from like back like 20 years ago and stuff like that. They were like, yeah, is Farquaad designed after? I don't know if it was Eisner or like the head of animation.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the president. I think it was like whoever the head animation guy was at the time. I think they actually modeled Farquaad after him.
Something like that, yeah.
And that's the thing too, is because I think him being short came from whoever that was based on. I remember that.
Okay.
So that's pretty funny and also defamatory, but...
Yeah, so maybe you could read into something here is like how Disney treats their properties.
That's something interesting to look into. It's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
But the reason DreamWorks can obviously use the characters is because I think fairy tale is like I don't know if they're like open source or whatever the word is, where it's like there's no implicit copyright on them. You know what I mean?
What is the word? I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like that thing where Universal can make a Dracula movie.
Yeah.
But they can't make his cape red because that's like, or not Universal, Sony.
Yeah.
Sony can make Hotel Transylvania, but they can't make Dracula's cape red because Universal's Dracula has a red cape.
Yeah. It's like along those lines, basically.
Yeah.
But anyways, like we were saying, so all the fairy tale creatures are getting sold off. And then this is where we're introduced to our other protagonist, Donkey.
The Deuteragonist.
The Deuteragonist, yes.
The dual protag.
I actually couldn't remember the word. I was like, what is it? The word for the second protagonist?
Well, that's actually... Deuteragonist is actually... For when there's two distinct protagonists. I think Donkey would just be a... Whatever it's called, the supporting character. I don't know.
He almost is a kind of a second... Because he's pretty much... Almost in every single scene with Shrek.
Well, he is, yeah. But Shrek definitely is the, like, he's the main character. He has the main change. He has a love interest in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Donkey has a cool love interest, too.
Yes.
So who knows?
So anyways, so there's this lady trying to sell off Donkey. And like we were saying yesterday, Donkey isn't actually explicitly based off any
that's interesting.
fairy tale.
He's pretty much, because, like, Farquaad, you could pin him to, like, I don't know, he's like a generic king. Fiona's a generic, like, princess, Disney-type princess, too. Like,
he's like Shrek, where he's not explicitly tied to any, like, very long, old fairy tale.
Donkey's weird, though, because an ogre is, like... It's kind of like Farquaad is like, oh, he's a lord. Like, Shrek is a monster, generic monster. Like, he gets attacked like Frankenstein does and stuff like that. But Donkey is, like... Where's the fairy tale book where there's just a talking donkey?
Yeah.
There probably is one, because there's a million fairy tales. But he's such a fun... And plus, he's voiced by Eddie Murphy in such, like, a modern way. He feels like such a weird character. He's really funny, though. I love Donkey.
Yeah. So this old lady is trying to sell off Donkey. I guess it was hers. I don't really know. She just had a fucking talking donkey.
Yeah, because she's like, yeah, you never shut the fuck up. And whatever. And so she tries to sell Donkey. And she's like, look, he can talk. And she's failing to make him talk. Because Donkey knows, like, if he talks, he's going to be holocausted.
Yeah.
So, and then they accidentally bang him on the head with Tinkerbell's flying dust.
Yeah,
and because when I was watching that scene, I was like, "Oh yeah, he won't talk here. I forget how he talks." And then he's like, "Fuck you! I'm a flying donkey."
He said you might have seen a house fly. You may even see a super fly, but I bet you've never seen a donkey fly. And he's trying to fly away.
You've never seen a donkey fly.
Yeah, and then the fairy dust
wears off immediately.
Yeah, and Donkey goes flying.
Can we talk about Donkey or no?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, why not?
So when we were watching this last night, I had a bit of a realization, Evan, that the famous YouTuber Video Game Donkey, he has a very distinct kind of way of speaking and a distinct style of humor that a lot of people copy, of course. But I feel like, and also his name being Donkey kind of gives it away maybe a little bit. But I think he's doing kind of like, his shtick is very Donkey from Shrek.
Yeah.
Like,
not to mention he has videos where it's literally Eddie Murphy calls. Like some of his prank call videos are Eddie Murphy calls.
His name is Eddie Murphy on Skype and stuff. But the thing that really did it for me too is like, aside from the voice and like the mannerisms, because he does kind of sound like Eddie Murphy's performance as Donkey.
Yeah.
But also, there's an aspect of Donkey's humor where he does this in almost like every video, where he's saying something and then it's blatantly proven wrong a second later.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I'm gonna beat this level so good, and then he dies immediately. Like, that's a lot of his humor.
Yeah, and then, Donkey actually does do that a lot.
I think he does it more than once, but like literally his first comedic beat is him being like, I'm gonna get away, I'm a flying donkey, and then he just like gets captured.
Yeah, so or like kind of in the when they're in the castle, it just made me think of this. Him and Shrek, he's like, oh, Shrek, you go handle the dragon. I'm going to go take care of these stairs. I'm going to kick those stairs ass or whatever. And then he immediately runs into the dragon.
I'm a stair master.
Yeah, and he runs into the dragon a second later. Basically, it's like stuff like that.
Yeah, I never thought about that. So that's, I don't know, it's just pretty interesting. If you like YouTube and you're into that, then I just gave you another cool fact.
Yeah.
Hit like. We did our research on that one.
And now you know Donkey is a hack.
Donkey, you're cool.
Exactly.
Thank you for your years of laughter and content you brought us. Anyways, so what happens after that? He kind of tags along with Shrek, right? He's like,
yeah, Donkey tries to run off. So the knights, Farquaad knights, they try to get Donkey, and he runs off. And then we see Shrek putting up signs in the woods.
Yeah, you're a medieval man now.
In the woods, saying, "Oh, beware ogre," whatever, trying to keep people off his swamp, basically. And then Donkey runs into him. And then the knights get scared off because they see Shrek.
Yeah.
So yeah. And Donkey, he just sticks with Shrek.
Yeah.
And Donkey, I guess, is the first person Shrek's ever met who immediately just sees him for who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Shrek is like, oh, I'm a big, ugly green ogre. You're not scared of me? And Donkey's just like, he just shakes his head.
Yeah.
No, basically. And this is like we said, the theme of the movie is, oh, I'm more than I look or whatever.
Yeah. When I was little, this is going to sound really bad, actually, but when I was little, I didn't like that Fiona becomes an ugly monster, because I just don't want to see an ugly character. And I was like, oh, she's a beautiful woman. I like her. But then she's ugly, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. But it, like...
Wow, Dylan, you really didn't learn the message of this film as a kid, did you?
I'm still very superficial to this day. Anyways, but really, like, if you think about it, too, it's a pretty clever twist, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty clever.
Yeah.
It works very well.
But we'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to that. I suppose we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Holy crap. This is a good opportunity, too. I just want to talk about Donkey. How you're saying, like, the hair doesn't look great?
Yeah.
The hair doesn't move. The hair is basically a raised...
Yeah.
It's basically
this
a raised
is where you
texture.
see it. Yeah, because when he, like, nods... I keep saying nodding. He shakes his head when Shrek's like, oh, you're not scared of me. He shakes his head. And, yeah, like you said, the hair is just...
Completely static.
Yeah.
It's basically, it's just a texture, basically.
And this is when you start seeing, like, oh, some of the animation has aged well. But I'm not going to knock the movie completely for that, because that was 20 years ago.
If by Shrek 2, did they have the hair moving on, like, Donkey and Puss in Boots? I think
we'll find out.
I guess we'll see in literally...
I feel like you have to. If you have a character like Puss in Boots,
yeah,
you have to do that.
Well, Puss in Boots, definitely his hair was moving. I wonder was Donkey, though, because his hair's pretty short.
I think it is better in part 2, though, the animation.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably is significantly better. And plus, they did... a pretty good job doing... They did a much better job than Pixar at the time doing human characters.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because Shrek predates
I was
Incredibles.
I was going to say, at that time, I don't think Pixar made any movies that completely revolved around human characters. By that time, Bug's Life was already out. Toy Story and Toy Story 2. I don't know if they did anything else
Monsters,
yet.
Inc.? I think Monsters, Inc. came out.
Probably around the same time.
Maybe.
A year later, maybe. Around the same time. But yeah, they didn't have anything that explicitly revolved around humans.
Yeah,
so I think you're right. I think they were doing humans a bit better.
Yeah,
like,
time, yeah.
Yeah, because we know, like, in Toy Story 1, like, at Andy's party, some of the other kids are literally just...
I think every single
palette swapped Andy. Yeah.
Every single kid is Andy, I think. I think.
They're just palette swapped Andy. Or even in Monsters, Inc. 1, you remember the robot kid who gets scared?
Is he Andy?
He looks almost exactly like Andy. So you know what I mean.
That's pretty funny. And I this might be my brain making another thing up, but I think I heard, like, Andy's mom is just, like, a slightly modified Andy.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I wouldn't be surprised.
She's very...
They don't ever really show her face too much in it.
Not until, later.
Yeah.
So, like, Toy Story 3 or whatever. Maybe. This is about Toy Story.
Well, you had to make the connections if you're talking about the animation.
It is interesting.
I feel like DreamWorks... Because at that time, Disney's actual, like, animation thing, I don't think... Like, 2001,
they were doing very shitty.
Yeah. It was mostly Pixar. Like, Pixar was DreamWorks' head competitor at that time. Because there was Disney Animation, but then around the early 2000s, Disney Animation wasn't really...
That got pretty phased out, yeah. Brother Bear.
Only recently, like, in the 2010s, have they kind of made a resurgence.
Yeah. Good old Frozen.
One
day we'll have to do Frozen 1 and 2.
Can we not?
That'll be awesome. We saw both Frozen movies in theaters for my birthday. I think that's true, right?
No, the first one was my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Because, I don't know, should we get into this? Our friend Andy did not want to see the second Hobbit movie. So, for my birthday, I had to compromise for Andy. And we had to go see Frozen.
Frozen sucks.
The second Hobbit probably would have sucked too. So, you know what?
That's true.
I'm going to say, you know what? I'm actually kind of happy we saw Frozen.
Yeah, I'd kind of rather have, like, every Disney movie under my belt than watch the Hobbit movies.
Yeah, I agree.
But, let's get back into Shrek.
I was like, we've completely gotten
Let's get back into Shrek.
Base.
So, where we leave off? Yeah, Donkey loves Shrek. Shrek make him sleep outside. Shrek pull his earwax out in a disgusting fashion. He's getting ready for dinner. And then it's pretty funny.
So Shrek, even though he's kind of taken back by Donkey treating him for who he is instead of just an ogre, Shrek's still like, oh, well, you know what? You can't stay with me. Donkey, he's like, oh, can we move in together? Donkey's like, Me and you are the same. We're both freaks. That's basically what he says. And that's how me and Dylan met, by the way.
Yeah, that is pretty, almost exactly the same.
Yeah. So, anyways, Donkey, Shrek is like, no, you can't live with me. And then Shrek is making his disgusting.
Well, he's like, you can stay, but you go outside.
Yeah, he's like, you gotta stay outside.
And then he's making a disgusting, delicious dinner.
Yeah.
With
where he pulls his earwax out. You want to talk about that, Dylan?
Well, yeah.
The earwax scene.
I was like, ever since I was a kid, I was just disgusted by literally the way he pulls his earwax out of his little tube.
It's like so perfect, too. He just, like, it's like nothing. He just puts his finger...
It's a big old... It looks like a lump of shit. It looks like a soft lump of shit, and he pulls it out of his ear. And then he lights a candle.
Yeah, he uses it for candle wax.
Which is awesome.
And then he starts hearing shit out. No. Yeah, he starts hearing shit inside his house.
Yeah, and he's like, I thought I told you to stay outside, donkey. And he's like, I am outside. And then it turns out it's just the 3 blind mice, like, bumping around, like, stealing his shit and everything.
This scene is really funny. I like when one of them bites his ear. He says it's cheese, and he bites...
It's like, I found cheese! And he bites Shrek, yeah.
What is their accent? Are they, like, British?
Oh, I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. No, they're... Oh, what is their accent? Yeah, I don't know. Some European shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now at this point, he's just having a bunch of fairy tale creatures bumbling around.
They've all been dumped onto Shrek's swamp.
And then, but then there's a big reveal of him opening the door, and he's like, my God! And it's literally just covered wall to wall with, like, witches and beautiful gnomes and... Do
you want to talk about the PS1 elves?
Yeah, let's mention the PS1 gnomes, or elves, yeah. Basically, there's, like... You know Elf on the Shelf? They look like Elf on the Shelf, but like a PS1 Elf on the Shelf. They're the worst rendered thing in the entire movie.
Yeah.
They look terrible.
And they're all just palette swapped. Like their clothes. They all look exactly
They literally just copy pasted them all over the place just to fill out crowds. They look terrible. They look really bad.
But in a way, they're endearing.
They're endearing. Like we were saying, for the effects at the time and everything, it's like, you can look over some of that shit. Yeah. Like the close-ups and maybe having some assets that aren't the best. But... After
we watched the movie, we looked at the picture of them, and you were like, oh, they're scary.
Like, yeah. There's actually, it's like the first picture I think we saw on the wiki, and they're in the dark, like they're all shrouded in mystery.
It's from this scene, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, from their... It's from this scene at night.
They look creepy in that.
Shrek Swamp.
And I don't know why elves need to be that tall and skinny. They look so weird.
With the giant dunce hat. It's really funny.
Yeah. Those big Elf on the Shelf characters. They're all made with, like, if you ever open Blender and they have, like, the default shapes. Like, they didn't, like, modify any of those shapes. It's just, like, default sphere, default cone, default, like, cylinder. They all look like that.
So, yeah, they're probably the characters have aged the worst in terms of how they look.
Easily.
They're almost on some, like, the Andy's Friends shit.
Yeah, they are. But for the sake of, like, I guess the same could be said for Toy Story. Like, it's made up for by all the other characters and everything.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're funny. But yeah, you just see all these characters. They're in his swamp, and he's like, get the fuck out of my swamp. And he's like, I'm gonna go talk to Farquaad. And figure this out, and then they treat him like a hero, and they give him like a big floral cape and everything. That was funny.
Yeah, so I guess this is where we first actually find out about Farquaad, because at first we just see the fairy tale creatures are being sold off. But here the 3 pigs, they say that Farquaad evicted them. Yeah. He said he huffed and he puffed and he evicted. He gave us an eviction notice. So they all got lumped off into Shrek Swamp. And so, yeah, like you said, Shrek's basically like, all right, I'm going to go talk to Farquaad, get this all fixed out. And Donkey's the only one, I guess, who knows where Farquaad is.
Well, there's
or the rest of them might just be scared.
Yeah,
because they're all pointing at each other, so they don't want to do it. They don't want to be the ones that go with Shrek.
It's funny, there's like one, it's just a little background thing, but it's cute, the little details they have in the movie where there's just like, it's like a mother bear, and I think it's the bears from the cages, like the mother bear, father bear, kid bear.
What is the story called? The
3 little... characters.
Goldilocks and 3 bears.
There you go. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about. But yeah, like the kid tries to raise his hand to help Shrek, and the mom's like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, Donkey's the only one that's like trying to help him, so he's like, all right, come on.
So yeah, Shrek and Donkey, they go off to go to, what's it called?
Duloc.
Duloc. Duloc. Okay. And this is where more of the Disney shit comes in, basically. So this is pretty. It cuts basically almost immediately to the end.
Did they talk about layers in this part, or is that on the way to Fiona?
I think that's on the way to Fiona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go to Duloc, whatever it's called.
Duloc, yeah.
Going down there, and they have a funny little. I like the way they squeeze in a joke about what's it called? What's that ride called with little characters? The little animatronics everyone hates. Small World.
It's a small world
after all.
Yeah, but even before that though, we see like one of those amusement park lines, and it's empty. Nobody is there.
The velvet rope lines. It's completely, all the street is completely empty, which is actually kind of creepy.
And we see somebody dressed as Farquaad. Like, it's one of those like costumes like you see like Mickey Mouse or Goofy, except it's someone dressed as Farquaad
with a giant mask on head. And he tries to run through all the little velvet ropes, and he falls on his face and dies.
He dies. Yes,
I'm pretty sure he dies canonically. And then Shrek I like that part too, where Shrek just walks straight through the velvet rope and he like drags it.
And then that guy just knocks himself out.
They go through the turnstile, and then they find the small world thing, which is a pretty clever little... It's like an introduction to the town where they're like, you know, be perfect or we'll euthanize you and shit like that. Yeah. But it's a pretty clever way to insert like a joke about small world. Which I'm sure, like, 2001 parents were like, oh, that ride sucks.
But yeah, like you said, it's more just poking shots at Disney, pretty much, Yeah, we have the Welcome to Duloc song, and it's just completely dead.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were trying to say anything with that, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think it was supposed to be like, oh, this is a police state. Like, no one's allowed outside at certain times.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think that's probably what
I was like, I didn't know if there was... You thought there was any, like, direct shots at Disney with that or not? Do you want to read too much into it?
No, I think it's just supposed to be like, this is a 1984 Disney town.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's about it.
Anyways, so yeah, they just go up further, and then this we see, oh yeah, actually, we skipped the interrogation scene where we first meet Farquaad.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I guess we don't have to talk about it too much. Basically, Farquaad is torturing...
It's one of the funniest parts of the movie.
It is. He's torturing the gingerbread man. So therefore we see more that Farquaad's like basically an evil fucking dictator. He's torturing the gingerbread... Yeah, to get info...
Later to be known as Gingy.
Later to be known as Gingy for fans of the rest of the Shrek series. He tortured him to get info on where the rest of the fairy tale creatures are. So, that was like, this scene I was really like, that's like seriously some Nazi shit.
Yeah.
It's like trying to, and like, have you seen,
Gingy's a badass.
Have you seen, he is. Have you seen Inglourious Bastards?
No.
Okay, well, there's a scene at the very beginning where Hans Landa, who is, Christoph Waltz character, he's like the Nazi officer.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's interrogating the dude. It reminded me of that. But Shrek went before, even before Inglourious Bastards.
Quentin bit this shit.
He did. Anyways, that's what I thought about when I was watching it this time around. So yeah, and then we also see the magic mirror, and where we learn Farquaad's basically trying to get married to a princess.
Yeah, his goal is to become king.
Yeah.
Like some form of an official king.
Mm-hmm. And he chooses Fiona of the 3 bachelorettes that he sees
the part where,
in the mirror.
I guess I'm just going to keep recounting shit and be like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Like, but it was pretty funny, like, the way they were egging on. They were like, oh, pick number 3, pick number 3. That was pretty funny. And I really like the part, too, where they threaten the mirror. And they're like, show us the princesses. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And then they, like, one of them punches the mirror.
Yeah, no, what happens is he's like, he says, oh, who's like the most perfect king or whatever. And he's like, oh, you're not a king. Yeah, he punches the mirror. He says, you're not a king yet, but you could be. And that's when he shows him the princesses, basically. That's great. He's like, you need to marry a princess.
That's great.
And yeah, he chooses Fiona, basically. And then he's about to warn him that, oh, you need to know, after sunlight, Fiona turns into an ogre. But he doesn't want to listen. He's just like, yeah, I'm choosing her. And I think they all start cheering. And he doesn't listen to the mirror at all. Something along those lines happens.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's just our introduction to Farquaad. But we can get back to this scene where Shrek meets Farquaad. Yeah. So after they go through Duloc, we see Farquaad is choosing knights, basically, to fight each other to see who's going to be the champion to go save Fiona for him. Because Farquaad doesn't want to actually get his hands dirty himself.
He's a little manly. He couldn't do it if he wanted to.
So he just wants someone to go do the dirty work for him. Go slay the dragon, save Fiona from the castle. Anyway, so Shrek shows up.
Real quick, is this PG?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you thought PG-13? I'm like, no.
No. Okay. But I was like, is it G? But I was like, I don't think so. It could be G.
It has to be PG. I think even the Pixar movies were all PG. So.
Yeah.
G is like some like really kiddie shit. You know what I mean?
Baby stuff.
Yeah,
we're only big boys on this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. PG movies only. So yeah, Shrek shows up, and they're basically gonna. He tells Farquaad, like, oh, you need to get all these people, all the fairy tale creatures, the fuck out of my swamp. He said, this is my land. And Farquaad's just like, oh, you know what? all the knights, whoever kills this fucking disgusting ogre first.
Whoever kills the ogre gets to be the champion.
Yeah.
And then Shrek has an epic scene where we destroy. We were.
I was about to say we're about to talk about why Donkey is the actual goat of this scene.
Donkey is if there was like a power scale like tier list, Donkey, at least for the first movie, Donkey would be on the top because Donkey I think Shrek knocks around like 4 guys or so.
It's probably a little bit more than that.
It's maybe implied to be more, but I noticed in that one scene they don't have any bodies. Like when he's in the ring and he's fighting them, he knocks a bunch of them out like supposedly, but they don't leave them they don't leave the characters on the ground.
Yeah.
So it just looks like he's beating up the same guy. But I think it's implied it's supposed to be he's beating up a bunch of guys. But Donkey literally gets on a barrel, crushes a bunch of guys. Yeah. He kicks a guy in the head till he dies. Donkey.
Just one kick and even dead.
He slaughters these people.
Listen, if you got kicked in the head by a fucking donkey while wearing a metal helmet, you might die. You might die.
Pretty good chance you die.
And so he ran over a good portion of Farquaad's knights with the giant fucking barrel with beer.
Oh, and it's pretty cool too. Shrek's let's get it on. No, he's
can we settle this over a pint?
Can we settle this over a pint? I can't do a Scottish accent. I wish I could. But yeah, and then he chugs the beer, and then he starts fighting. I was like, what the fuck? I don't remember that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So Shrek and Donkey, they take out all the knights, and everybody starts cheering for Shrek, and Farquaad chooses Shrek as the champion. But it should be, give Donkey some credit. He did it. He did his work.
That would be a good Dreamworks What If episode. If Farquaad recognized that Donkey killed most of the people in that scene and he was the champion.
So, but you gotta choose the more visually distinct hero.
He also did Donkey kind of. I won't say he got lucky, but he had a huge advantage with the barrel.
But he climbed on top of that shit and rolled them.
But you see Shrek physically knocking the shit out of these guards. But yeah, so
I think we can talk about a little fun fact here. So Shrek is doing all the wrestling moves in the ring with the knights in this scene. Shrek actually, they say he's actually based off that wrestler.
Oh,
I forgot his name. It's an old school wrestler who kind of his face was kind of
Is it Andre the Giant?
No, not Andre the Giant. No, his face was kind of I don't know if there was something wrong with him or what, but he actually really did look like Shrek.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And they say Shrek was based off him, and so I think they were showing some love to him, I guess, in this scene.
Oh yeah, a distinct wrestling call out.
Yeah, showing that Shrek was doing a bunch of wrestling moves.
Yeah, he's clotheslining them and shit.
Yeah, so I think that's what it was in reference to there.
But yeah, so he's the new hero, the new champion. He goes and they start off to the dragon. They go walk in the flowers and they talk about their feelings. It's pretty cool.
Ogres have layers. They're like onions.
Have layers.
They're like onions.
They're like funyuns. We have layers.
We have layers. Do you have anything to say about this scene?
I think it's maybe a little bit of Shrek trying to... It's weird because I always thought it was weird because it's you're not that layered.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like he's trying to convey to Donkey that it's I don't want to be like this.
Yeah.
Necessarily. This is kind of just the ogre thing is a layer to he's kind of ashamed or he's put into this he's painted in this corner or whatever it is. He doesn't necessarily want to be that way, and he's trying to let his feelings out to his donkey friend.
Yeah. And it's almost kind of, I guess, like a shell for him, if that makes sense. He does, like we were saying earlier, he kind of embraces it because, in a weird way, it is to protect him, because no matter what, he's going to get judged. So he kind of embraces it as kind of like a fuck you to everybody.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's a way to protect his feelings, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I forgot what was even the impetus for the conversation between them.
I don't really remember. I know, he grabs an onion. But,
yeah.
But I don't really remember.
Oh, yeah, he's eating the onion, and that's when he makes the...
Onions have layers.
And he says Shreks. Yeah, Shreks. He says ogres are not like cakes.
Yeah,
not cakes.
He's I don't care what everyone likes. Yeah, because Donkey's why don't you say you like a cake? And, all my amateur voice acting, you like that?
Yeah, they're very good. I like
RNS fan animations.
Yeah.
Let's get those going. Where are those at?
And this is one of the big memes from the movie. The ogres are like layers thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of the big
a really
ones.
famous line. Yeah,
it's the porta potty. The song
All Star, obviously.
It's All Star coming out of the porta potty. the onions have layers thing, and then that one face he makes
later when they wake up.
And also Lord Farquaad's a pretty big meme.
Yeah.
People love saying girls look like Lord Farquaad.
Really?
Yeah, people like that. They think that's funny, but I think that's mean. I think that's mean to women.
It's very mean. Yeah, don't say that.
But yeah, so Shrek and Donkey get their feelings out.
They get their feelings out. More Shrek, so here.
Well, Shrek, yeah. Shrek vents a little bit. Donkey, that's nice. He's his friend. Mm-hmm. And then, what? Do they really get into any trouble? They get to the bridge?
No, it basically just... This movie, we were talking about this, the pacing of this movie is actually, like, really quick. And it's a good thing. It has almost no filler whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, because they don't get, like, on their journey to Duloc and then to the castle, there's no filler or anything. They don't get sidetracked at all. It's, like, basically bam, bam, bam. The movie's only 90 minutes, and we and you were both giving the movie credit for that. Because, we've both talked about this before. A lot of movies are, like, unnecessarily long.
Yeah.
Like, even 2 hours isn't that long, but a lot of movies, they push it to
you
get
still
2
didn't
hours.
need to be 2 hours, even if that's not that long.
Yeah, so many movies just have unnecessary filler, and it brings the movie down. And then one of the great things about this movie is that, like, it's 90 minutes with the credits, so in total it's only, like, really 80-something minutes. And they don't waste a second of it. It's basically nothing here is pointless. You know what I mean?
You're either getting a joke or a decently, like, earnest, like, character moment, or you know, it's
progression of the story, or whatever.
Or just the story.
So it doesn't waste a second at all, which is, I think, a great thing. Which is really awesome.
And you really grow to appreciate that more when you get older.
Yeah, definitely. When
you're a kid, you're just like, I'll just sit here and watch this for 3 hours.
You have all the time in the world. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't give a shit. I just want to watch these funny characters walk around. Like, you'll watch Kung Fu Panda. I watched Kung Fu Panda, I remember, like, 5 times in one day. I didn't do that often when I was a kid, but I was like, yay. Like, but when you get older and you have a podcast and you want to rewatch Shrek, it's nice when you know it's brief, but it's good and it's concise. Yeah, it's a well-constructed movie.
Yeah, that's a big problem a lot of blockbusters have now. It's just that they're unnecessarily long.
It does suck that Shrek would never be made now.
You think so?
Not really. I don't think it would be. It's too, like, earnest and, like, tightly made and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if it was made today, it would be so, like, it would be some, like, Madagascar 4 shit or something where it's just, like, funny colors for 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. I can see what you mean.
Yeah.
Death of cinema.
It is
upon us.
We gotta go back and watch, like, can we watch, like, a Korean crime movie next?
Yeah,
Let's watch that.
We can do Old Boy.
Let's watch. I don't want to watch Old Boy. So yeah, they go to the bridge. They go to the big fire bridge. I kind of like that part. He kind of tricks Donkey into crossing the rest of the bridge, where he's, like, scaring him into backing up.
Yeah, I think for me this was, like, I guess it's not one of the first examples, but it's, like, a good example of how Shrek can kind of take into Donkey.
Yeah,
because he's not like, okay, get the fuck off the bridge or anything. Like, he actually, like, kind of in a weird way. I want to say. He obviously doesn't soothe him because he's, like, scaring him by shaking the bridge to get him to the other side. But he's, like, you know, he's taking Donkey along with him. Yeah. And he does kind of I don't know what the word I'm looking for is here, but he gets him to the other side. You know what I mean?
He kind of, without...
like, forcing him, grabbing him, or just getting him the fuck out of the way.
And it also speaks to the character a little bit. Of course, it's not so deep or anything, but it's like, of course, Shrek's not gonna... like you said, he likes him, so he's not going to leave him behind.
Yeah,
really.
I'm like, this was when you first kind of start seeing that Shrek actually does like Donkey.
Yeah.
Or care for him like a friend. And there's a really big moment coming up where I was like, oh shit, you know, Shrek actually does.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Later with the dragon, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a clever way of him kind of, he's like hazing him a little bit.
Yeah,
he's teasing him. But he also, like, successessui gets him to cross the bridge without too much difficulty. And then after, like,
that's
right
when he
after...
says, that'll do, Donkey, that'll do.
That'll do, pig, that'll do. Yeah, he gets him to back up. And afterwards, Donkey's like, huh. Like, he, like, appreciates it. So that's a cool little moment between them. They feel like brothers, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool. I like that moment.
That's why I guess it's like a brotherly dynamic, I guess you could say, yeah. Well, anyway, so they go inside the castle.
Their goal is... oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's if when Shrek puts on... Yeah, he starts putting on, like, a knight's armor.
He picks it off corpses. And,
which,
that's what I was earlier. This is actually specifically what I was thinking about when I was like, what is this rated? Because you see, like, a lot of gore in the fucking dungeon. In the like, the dragon's, like, keep in the castle. And there's one specific shot where I was like, Jesus Christ. There's, like, boots with, like, femur bones sticking out.
Oh, yeah,
I was like, what? That's kind of cool. But yeah, so basically their goal at this point, Shrek's putting on the armor to, help.
He wants to actually go find the dragon. He tells Donkey to go find the stairs
for the princess.
Yeah,
But they wind up finding the opposite.
Yeah, I was like, there's some dramatic irony here or whatever. Is that the right word? Right term? Dramatic irony. I don't know if that's it, but
I think it's situational irony.
Close enough.
It's not dramatic irony because we find out when they find out.
Okay. Is it situational irony?
Yeah, situational irony. I think
something like that. There's a little hint of some kind of irony here, where Donkey runs into the dragon and Shrek, he doesn't find the stairs, but Donkey finds Dragon. Dragon starts freaking out and she knocks Shrek into. Doesn't she, knock him in the air? He gets, launched into the room or something like that. Maybe. I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
Something along the lines of that happens. He doesn't, go up there on his own volition. It kind of happens by accident.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he gets knocked into the princess's room. And then the dragon is about to eat Donkey. And then we find out, he talks his way out of
Donkey butters her up.
Yeah, we find out the dragon is a female.
And she hasn't had no dick in a while,
so
she's like...
she has not.
She likes it. She's into it.
Yeah.
She's like, you're sweet talking me, Eddie Murphy. I'm into that.
Yeah, and then she fucking wraps her tail around Donkey and takes him off. No, she picks him up with her mouth. And she takes off, so... Anyways, then next we just see Shrek talking to Fiona. And here it's like, oh, you're expecting the classic prince saves the princess scene, but no, he just fucking shakes. He shakes.
Yeah, because she's like, she's kind of...
She's pretending to be asleep.
She's posing herself like Sleeping Beauty and puckers her lips when Shrek's getting close to her. And then he violently shakes her
wants
awake.
that perfect moment or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I really like this. This is one of my favorite parts of the movie, too, because I really like how... all the problems the princess has with Shrek off the bat, and she's like, well, where's your horse? Where's your fucking, everything like that. I like that part, and I also really like the part where she's, Yeah,
I just realized, I guess Donkey was used as a way to subvert the horse
Kinda,
trope.
yeah.
I've never really thought about it like that until now. Well, but I guess that was the point.
I thought about
Even though she does kind of
just
point it out
because she calls
later.
it out, yeah. But I like the part where she's like...
I just didn't think about it in a way. It's like, oh, they were directly...
Specifically...
that was probably the point of that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, let's choose a shitty horse for the sidekick.
Yeah. I guess that's actually a joke in part 2.
Oh, he turned into a beautiful steed in part 2,
okay, so,
But, I was gonna say, I like how... When he first grabs Fiona, he throws her over his shoulder or something, and they run down the stairs. And she's like... Oh, yeah. I don't remember how they bring it up, but she's like, you didn't slay the dragon? You're supposed to do that first. And he's like, it's on my list.
He's on my to-do list,
And she's like, well, all the other knights, they try, and he's like, how'd that work out for them?
Yeah.
Because of course, already you've seen all the charred corpses of all these
so
knights.
A bunch of other knights have already come and tried to save Fiona.
That's really funny. So yeah, they start escaping. He goes back to save Donkey.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. It's like, so I was like, it touched my heart a little bit the way Shrek actually, because he didn't have to do this, but he actually goes out of his way to find the dragon to save, because he could have easily got away, because the dragon
could have just run away with the princess.
Yeah, no problem with the dragon whatsoever.
Back,
But he goes out of his way to find Donkey and saves him, and then the dragon starts chasing them.
And it's kind of cool imagery. He puts the chandelier with a chain around its neck to kind of chain it to the castle.
And then I'm gonna say this part is actually badass. It goes in slow mo. Shrek hops off, and then him and Donkey run up the stairs. I was like, yo, that scene is actually badass.
That's epic as fuck. That whole scene is epic. But I really like the imagery too of she looks like a what's it called? A junkyard dog, in front of the castle, trying to fly.
When she tries to fly later, once
she's
they get
on
out.
fire and shit. That looked cool. But yeah, there's not too much else in that scene, right? They just kind of get away with Fiona. And then they go on their little walk back to Disneyland.
Yeah, to Disneyland.
TM.
Yeah, and then I guess basically from here, they just keep kind of pointing out how, Shrek is not living up to the fairy tale story or whatever.
Yeah.
Because she's like, she finds out here, because Shrek has had his armor on the whole time.
Yeah, he looks like
she doesn't know that. Yeah, she doesn't realize. I don't know how she doesn't realize, because he's clearly green. But
it's just cartoon logic.
Yeah, it's just cartoon logic. It doesn't matter. Well, he takes off his helmet, and she finds out that he's an ogre. And she starts freaking out, because she's like, this is not how it's supposed to be. She wants that perfect fairy tale story or whatever.
And plus, at this point, she thinks she's gonna have a kind of reverse Princess and the Frog thing, where her true love's kiss is gonna turn her into not an ogre.
Is that what she was expecting?
I think that's what she wanted.
That isn't what ends up happening at the end of the movie. But I was like, I don't know, was she thinking that's what was gonna happen?
Yeah, because they mention that later, like in a little bit here when her and Donkey are talking, and she's like, "Oh, true love's kiss is gonna lift the curse." So she think that means she's gonna just be human after the kiss. But then an ogre saved her, so that throws a little wrench into her ideas of what might happen.
Yeah, so Shrek is like, well, I'm not your true love. I'm just, he actually said, I'm just a delivery boy.
Yeah.
Just to get her to Farquaad, because he just wants everything to go back to normal in his life, basically. Then they're walking, and the sun starts setting, and she's like, oh no, we had to make camp now, because she doesn't want them
to see her as she's an ogre.
Yeah, so she's actually an ogre.
And yeah, they set up
once
the
sun
camp.
sets.
Pretty much. I don't think at that point we see like a little glimpse of Fiona as her little Shrek form, but I don't think necessarily you could really tell until later.
Yeah,
because she's still.
I think you see her hand and a little bit of her face. Yeah.
But that's a cool little moment.
And then we get the scene with Shrek and Donkey outside, and this is basically where like the thesis statement of the film is like explicitly set out. He's like, "Oh, they judge me before they even know me." He's talking to Donkey. He's saying, He's like, I don't have a problem with the world. The world has a problem with me. They all judge me before they know me. And Fiona's listening, and she hears that. And that's when she starts warming up to Shrek, basically.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, I understand.
I feel the same way, yeah. Which I like that, because then the next morning, too, like, they fight the Robin Hood guys pretty soon after that, right? Yeah. And then, of course, Fiona matrixes all the guys. And
everything. They had the Matrix.
That's a great part, too. Yeah. Like, that's an awesome part. And I just like how he's, like, such a suave, like, douchebag, like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
And then Fiona's like, shut the fuck up. And, like, just kicks them all in the head. And then Shrek...
And he's not, I remember this was in the fact video. He's not even, like, the classic Robin Hood. He's, like, the French parody or whatever, Monsieur Hood.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Monsieur Hood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of funny.
But yeah, so she beats all their asses, and then Shrek's like, oh.
Oh yeah, he's like, she's a badass.
And then she kind of says it, like, puts, like you're saying, like, they just stated the thesis kind of thing, like, very explicitly.
Yeah.
Him and Donkey talk about it, and then the next morning, like, Shrek kind of has the same, like, oh, judge your book by your cover.
Yeah, he wasn't expecting a princess to start kicking ass, basically.
And then Fiona says that to him, too. He's like, oh, don't judge your book by its cover.
Yeah, and then they have that scene where they both burp.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and Shrek is very attracted to her doing disgusting things.
He says, and I like that. Yeah, they start like eating snakes and like eating
they make
the
balloons out of the toad and the snake.
So all that stuff with them, like, it's really short. Like you were saying, the whole movie's short, but it's really short when they start to like really warm up to each other. But you kind of like you get it, you know?
Yeah, it's like a montage basically. They do the balloon thing with the toad and the snake.
The spiderweb cotton candy.
the cotton candy, the spiderweb. And he starts eating it, but you see, like, she licks her face. So, you know, she's like, oh, you know, she's into that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that whole part. And I like, that's why I almost wish, too, that she wasn't an ogre, because it would have been, like, I don't know, it would have been funny if there was just a gross princess.
I was going to say, I can almost, honestly, kind of see what you mean by that. Yeah, it would be like, oh, everybody expects me to be the perfect princess or whatever, but, you know, I have... these disgusting tendencies.
But it's implied that's kind of just like her ogre side.
Yeah, or even I can kick ass. She's not just a damsel in distress.
But like I said, the ogre twist is still pretty good.
I guess they thought it'd be weird maybe if an ogre and a human lady hooked up, so they had to throw in that twist.
Well, I think the ogre thing makes sense though, because it's like it subverts. Like I was saying, it's like a backwards Princess and the Frog thing.
Yeah,
it's kind of clever. I like that, where it's like the kiss makes you stay an ogre, like you're actually an ogre.
Yeah, but I just mean like for the future. You know how like Shrek and Fiona have babies. I guess it would be it'd be kind of weird maybe if she was still human and they had babies.
That's true. That's true. No, because when he starts getting interested in Fiona. And you look at their character models next to each other, I'm like, nah, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, that's good. I think it's really endearing, like him and Fiona at the first part of the movie. I mean, I say first part of the movie, but the movie's like half over at this point.
Yeah, we're already way past the halfway point of this here. So yeah, we basically see they start getting feelings for each other. And they actually get to Duloc, like, before the sun has even set on this day. But she doesn't want to go, so she's like, oh, can we just set up camp? She basically
makes an excuse, like, she's like, yeah, Donkey, you look sick and everything. And also, we didn't mention that one moment where she kind of helped Shrek out. That's pretty funny. And
she tells Donkey to go away.
They have another little moment.
Yeah, after fighting Monsieur Hood.
Monsieur Hood.
Monsieur, whatever. She takes the arrow out of his ass.
But I like the part, and also, yeah, that's a pegging allegory for those of you at home.
Is it?
No. But yeah, back to what we were saying, though, is like, I like that moment, too, where she's like, oh, I just don't want to go yet and everything. She just wants to linger around. But then, of course, that's the part where Shrek don't like her no more. Right?
Oh, yeah, so, he goes, like, I think it was actually Donkey. Donkey's, like, trying to convince Shrek.
To go talk to her.
Yeah, to tell her how you feel. She goes inside the house. This time they find a house. I guess.
They find a little cabin outside the town.
To say before they go to Duloc. And Shrek's like, oh, I can tell you two are digging on each other. That's what he says. Shrek's like, I mean, Donkey says that to Shrek. And he's like, you need to tell her how you feel, basically. So Donkey's a real one.
Yeah, he's a real one. Yeah. Always.
And so Shrek goes to get flowers for Fiona. And I guess by this point, the sun starts setting. And Donkey goes inside while Shrek goes to get the flowers. And he finds out that Fiona's actually...
You see Fiona?
Yeah.
So he finds out she's an ogre, and she tells him about the curse, and like, oh yeah, my true love, I'll turn into a human if they kiss me and shit like that. And
that's why she says that. That's like, I have to get married to Farquaad because of this.
Yeah, right.
And I guess she basically tells Donkey, she doesn't really say it explicitly, but you get the point that, oh, she also has feelings for Shrek.
Right, yeah. And they also, what does she say? Oh yeah, she also wants to marry him, like, maybe to get rid of the curse, but also she wants to get married before he can find out she's an ogre. Like, she doesn't want Farquaad to know either.
Yeah,
she's like, oh yeah, I can get a husband before he knows I'm an ogre too, or whatever. But yeah, Shrek hear that, and she say, oh, I'm ugly. She's like, but she basically says, like, no one can ever love an ogre because I'm an ogre. And then, so this is dramatic. This is dramatic irony. So then Shrek comes up.
Oh, yeah. This is dramatic irony because we know something Shrek does not.
Yeah, and then Shrek comes up and he's like, oh, no, she think I'm ugly. She could never love me. He run away.
Yeah, because she was like, I like your present tense use. Is that it? Present that he run away.
He run away.
He say.
He say this. He say that.
That threw me for a loop just hearing all that. He say, he run away. Anyways, so yeah, she was like, yeah, I'm ugly, disgusting, whatever. And Shrek runs, he walks up about to confess his feeling for her. Obviously, he knows nothing about the ogre thing, so he just automatically assumes that she's talking about him.
So what does he do? He just fucks off?
Yeah, he throws the flower in front of the door.
Oh, he goes home?
No, he doesn't go home.
Where does he go?
Not yet. He just walks off, I guess. He throws the flower in front of the door. And then he goes to the next morning. Well, she sees the flower, and she thinks it's from him. And she takes it. You see she's, like, pretty happy when she grabs it. And then the next morning, okay, obviously she's human again. Oh, no, what he did was go get Farquaad to bring them there.
Oh, to bring them to the little thing. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm done with you, basically. Cause
he's like, I did my job, whatever.
Yeah, he's like, this is where they have more of the dramatic irony. So basically, they're both confused. They think that
they hate each other.
Yeah, no. Shrek is like, oh, I heard everything you said, and he's like, he thinks that he basically affirming what she said, and then he thinks that she said something completely different. So they're both completely confused.
Yeah.
Basically, and they both think they're assholes. Anyways, and before we get the classic Hallelujah.
The classic Hallelujah scene.
Leonard Cohen.
Very intense. Mm-hmm. Great song to smoke a black and mild cigar to.
There is.
Love that song. That part's really good. And then basically Donkey just comes up and he's like, Fiona good.
Fiona.
He was like, you don't get it? Like, Fiona liked you. He was like, she was talking about someone else. And, Shrek's like Shrek wants the tea. Shrek's like, well, who's she talking about?
Yeah.
It was funny because, why do you care, Shrek? Like, just go love her. Like, yeah. But of course, he needs to know that it's Fiona.
I actually do want to say, this was like my one actual, like, it's not a huge flaw with the movie, but it's probably like one of my biggest problems.
Just the whole misunderstanding lie part?
Yes. Well, not even necessarily that. It's just what Fiona is saying in general. Because obviously the reason she started falling in love with Shrek was because of what he said the first night.
Ultimately what doesn't make sense is you can just pinpoint, like, oh, who could ever love an ogre? Like, well, it's like, if you love Shrek, you're the same character.
Yeah.
Like, you were fine. Like, there's no, like,
Because, you're judging yourself, but by saying all that stuff about yourself, Fiona, you're basically saying it about Shrek, too.
Yeah, you can.
So in a weird way, he was kind of right.
It would only,
you know what I mean?
It would only really make sense if Shrek was human.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense, but ultimately, I think maybe generally they were just talking about her feelings over time. I don't remember exactly what they say in that scene, but maybe she was just talking generally about her feelings.
But my point is that, like, well, the reason you fell in love with Shrek was because you said, oh, people, they judge me before they know me. So obviously, like, it doesn't make sense that he's going to do the same to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it contradicts itself.
Yeah, so it's like, that's almost like what you were saying, where the ogre thing, it kind of, like, it would maybe almost be better if Fiona was just a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, it just doesn't really make too much sense here. So, like, if you're judging yourself about being ogre, you are judging Shrek, even though you're in love with Shrek.
But it's also...
It's just really weird.
It does make sense, too. Like, you can let it slide a little bit, because it's like, of course she's still going to have conflicting
Well, you're always harsher
feelings
on yourself than you are on someone else.
That, but also, like, she's lived with being an ogre and hating herself for it for, like, 20 years?
Yeah.
Or however long, and then she just now meets another ogre, like... So it makes sense that she would still have those feelings.
Her
like
feelings wouldn't...
It's just like a day later.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense, but I know what you're saying. It's kind of a contradiction a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not as as concise as you might want it to be, but...
That was the only thing where I was like, I'm like, it could be done better, I think.
It could have been, maybe been a little tighter there.
Yeah,
But,
and like the human thing where maybe, Fiona was only a human. I never really thought about that before, but after you brought that up, I'm like, that's actually not a terrible idea.
I feel like Fiona would be a little more charming as a character if she was just a gross girl.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, so where are we at? So Shrek and Donkey have a little, they have a little conversation about Fiona. He finds out Fiona's an ogre.
No, he doesn't find out yet.
He doesn't find out till later.
He finds out at the wedding, but he doesn't find out here. Because Donkey doesn't tell him.
Oh, he doesn't?
Because, he swore to Fiona that he wouldn't tell anybody.
Donkey's been a real one the whole movie.
He has.
He really has.
Donkey basically says, he's just like, just go find out. He said, just go there.
Go talk to her yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Damn, Donkey is realist. Like, he is.
Like, there's not a time where he slips the whole movie.
No,
he's just a real one the whole time. But yeah, so they go check out the Disney castle. That's pretty funny when Donkey's like, there's you gotta wait till he says the thing.
Yeah.
You got to burst in at the right time. But then he bursts in at an even more dramatic moment when they're about to kiss, like right when they're about to kiss.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Donkey wants him to barge in when the I object thing.
When the priest says, "Does anyone object to his marriage or whatever?" Which I plan on doing at several weddings in the future in my real life.
Me too.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, I feel like this is also just more of the subverting the classic fairy tale thing.
Yeah.
Because obviously, running in before the I object thing, it's like a perfect, beautiful moment.
It's less of a...
But Shrek is a few seconds late, so...
It's less of a commentary on fairy tales, but of, like, romantic
But you know what I mean,
whatever,
just subverting that perfect...
Thing, perfect romance kind of ideal,
you know what I mean, yeah. Which is funny. I like it a lot, actually.
And then,
Shrek runs in, he says, I object. Fiona, I love you. Oh, and we get another classic meme here, where Farquaad's like, the ogre has fallen in love with the princess. So there's like a lot of memes of that online.
The simp has fallen in love with the e-girl.
Yeah.
That guy, whoever that guy was, he did a good impression.
Yeah, there was he literally did the Farquaad voice. He's like, the simp has fallen in love with... The
simp has fallen in love with the e-girl.
Anyways.
But yeah, Farquaad is like, kill the fucking monster.
Yeah, I think everybody's laughing, I think.
At Shrek.
Yeah.
Oh, when he says, the Shrek has fallen in love with the e-girl. Whatever he says.
Yeah, with the princess.
And then everyone laughs at Shrek.
And there's more of the dictator stuff going on, because they're holding up the signs, telling the audience what to do, cheer, laugh.
They're holding up... They sometimes fumble with the whole, like... They do a good job of it sometimes, but they also fumble sometimes, where it's like modern day stuff translated backwards into medieval stuff, where it's like,
it'd be like a teleprompter.
It's like a teleprompter telling an audience in a sitcom to laugh.
Yeah,
but it's like at a wedding that works. But sometimes they'll just say like Shrek will say like, "Oh, whoa, pump the brakes!" Like, what brakes? There ain't no brakes.
That doesn't bother me. That's like in a lot of cartoons and stuff like that.
But I feel like there's a... It's better when it's something that translates backwards well, like the whole postcards thing, like telling people to laugh. I like that. But yeah, then Shrek fight them, and he go and
he fight them. He go.
Well, yeah, he just fights the knights. He wins, and then he calls the dragon to help him, and he eat Farquaad.
But even before that, we find out that Shrek finds out that Fiona's an ogre.
Is it sunset?
Yeah, the sun starts going down, and Farquaad is just like, oh, lock her up, kill Shrek.
That's probably the most fucked up. Even like all the like torturing Gingy and like all that, and like the corpses of the knights in the castle. That's probably the most fucked up thing in the movie, where he's like, you're going back in the fucking tower, and I'm the king now. I was like, jeez.
That's what he says. Yeah. Nothing really like this scene is pretty short. Basically, all Shrek does is just call it the dragon.
He called the dragon, and the dragon eat him, and
and
Donkey say thank you, Bay, and
basically, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Donkey and Dragon are in love with each other.
They are in love. Yeah.
Somehow it's happened, but yeah.
See, that's
even though before he wanted to get away, we see now that he's actually just in love with Dragon.
What a well-written movie. He was just intimidated.
He was intimidated
by this alpha female. But as we all will one day do, we will submit to our alpha females.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh no.
Nothing wrong being.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong being with a dominant woman.
No,
ain't
nothing wrong with that
at all. No. Anyways, so yeah, that happens. That's basically like almost the end. Shrek and Fiona are like, oh, we love each other. You get the musical number all-star of what is this song called? I'm a Believer.
I'm a Believer. Yeah, they do classic I'm a Believer.
It's implied that Shrek and Fiona are basically have gotten married, and that's basically the end of the movie.
Yeah, and Shrek, you know what? He finally lets someone into a swamp.
He let someone into a swamp.
Oh,
actually, they're all there. They're all partying at a swamp at the end. So yeah.
Yeah, look at you, Shrek. Look at you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I think by the end, yeah, because we see this in the sequel, Shrek is kind of not just Donkey, but he's also kind of opened his heart to the other fairy tale creatures also.
Yeah.
Because they're basically all the same as him. You know what I mean?
Like, well, there's also there's the whole dichotomy of humans versus fairy tale creatures. Yeah. So he's he kind of more relates to them after this movie.
Well, Farquaad also sees all the fairy tale creatures as imperfections.
Yeah.
Because he's always like, oh, my perfect kingdom, whatever. Yeah. And he sees them as imperfections. So, well, they're judged just as harshly as you are, Shrek.
Yeah.
If not, I wouldn't say worse. No, it's probably not worse, but they got it worse because they couldn't defend themselves.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that
they
makes
needed
sense.
someone like Shrek to kind of be their champion.
And I like that a lot too, is because Shrek ultimately is kind of the whole movie's a fuck you to Disney, but also Shrek as a protagonist is because of course Disney would never have Shrek as their protagonist. Of course, Toy Story, not Toy Story, Jesus, Pixar. They would later have Monsters Inc. and stuff, but that's Pixar, not Disney.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
That's the opposite of a Disney protagonist.
Yeah.
Shrek. Uh-huh. So I think that's also why
because they have the Prince Charmings and all that.
Yeah, their hero is the villain of Shrek.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Always. So I really appreciate about Shrek, and I think that's why it caught on so hard, is because it's such a good mirror of Disney. But still in a fairly child friendly way. Yeah. But it's a very
even with all the masturbation jokes and cursing and everything. Anyways, yeah. So that's Shrek. Like you said,
Shrek for you.
Not your classic Disney fairy tale.
No, it's not your daddy's.
But that's what makes it so great.
Disney fairy tale. No.
And I never really until I've gotten older and thought about this. I've never thought about how the whole message of the movie, the hero, everything about it, it all is really a giant fuck you to the classic Disney, I don't know, model, I guess, the classic Disney model.
And I think people...
Because like you said, I didn't really think about that, but Disney, just regular Disney animated, especially back in the day, they would never have a hero like Shrek.
I guess Beast. But my point was, literally, Fiona and the Beast are opposite. Because at the end of the movie, that's why I do like Fiona as an ogre, even though it would have been cool without the ogre thing. But she literally has the opposite... Because doesn't Beast turn into a man at the end?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so it's Fiona's the opposite, where it's I embrace the ugly side and everything like that.
And on top of that, he was also already a prince before that. Whereas Shrek wasn't shit.
Nah,
Shrek wasn't shit.
But
he came from nothing.
You'd have Fiona kind of on the side, and she's kind of still the opposite of Beast in a way.
Yeah.
But of course, it's the reward is you don't get to be ugly no more. In Beauty and the Beast. But in But in Shrek, it's we're gonna embrace that we're fucking ugly and we're the outcasts and.
No, I love that. That's amazing.
Me too. It's great. Yeah.
I see myself more in Shrek than I do like someone like the Beast, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I see.
No,
myself
how do I
more in
relate to
Shrek.
the Beast at all? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, do you have any more to say about Shrek?
What's your least favorite Shrek movie?
My least favorite, the fourth one. They get progressive. No, they don't get progressively worse.
4 is, I
one
think,
and 2 are good, and then
I think most people consider 4 better than 3.
4 is worse than 3.
I haven't seen 3 or 4 in a long time.
3 has Justin Timberlake, so for that reason,
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. We all love Justin, don't we? Yeah.
I like Justin.
Yeah.
He has some good music.
Yeah. Anyways. Evan, who's your favorite Shrek character? Besides Shrek.
I don't know. You know, in the first one,
in this movie only, who's your favorite character?
I'm gonna say in this one, the side characters don't really.
They don't shine very much.
I'm gonna say they're in the beginning and the end. They really all the side characters like you think of when you think of the Shrek franchise. They really don't pop off until part 2.
No, because part 2, like we were saying, I mean, hopefully we'll talk about it soon. But like Gingy,
Pinocchio, the wolf, everybody. Yeah.
Who's my favorite Shrek character? I like Fiona. I like Donkey. You know what? I like all the classic Shrek friends we've made along the way.
Yeah, all the characters are really great in this.
Yeah. Who is your least favorite Disney employee? Bob Iger.
Bob Iger. He's not an employee anymore. He stepped down.
I'm sure he's still working there.
Is he?
I think he is. Wasn't there that whole thing where they were like, "Oh, he's doing Bob Chapek's job for him"? Like,
I don't think so.
There was.
No.
It was like a rumor.
No, they were saying like Bob Chapek was like taking shots at Bob Iger.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was
I don't know. I'd be listening to too much beyond the trailer.
Is that it?
Yeah.
She's probably more accurate. Grace. I mean, Grace got some insider scoops.
She got some hits. She got some misses. She got some hits. She got some misses.
What do you think about? Like, why do you think years later this movie has like taken on a new life? Years later with the whole meme thing.
You're right, because it was really big like 5 years ago. It's not so much anymore. It's still there. Like the whole simp e-girl thing is way bigger than any ironic Shrek memes you see. Like that was huge for a little bit, but the whole like weird Gary's Mod Shrek memes and all that. That's actually there's a really interesting YouTube video I saw about that where. Because Shrek comes out of a whole, like we were just talking about, like, he comes out of a whole counterculture kind of, not, like, counterculture in, like, like, the most extreme sense, but he is, like, a kind of a counterculture character. There's an aspect of him where it's, like, if you're a weirdo, you kind of identify with Shrek, you identify with that sense of humor, where it's, like, fuck everyone else, like, I'm a weirdo.
And as we know, the internet is full of weirdos.
Exactly. I think that translated years
I'm going to say you actually have a good point, I think.
Well, it's not even my point. I can't remember where it came from, but there was a really good YouTube video I saw about that. Sorry for not remembering exactly who it came from, but that's a great point is, like, there's a lot of, like, outcasts that grew up with Shrek, identify with Shrek, and they wound up making some weird Shrek memes. So I didn't think about it like that, but I think that's where it comes from. That does make sense, yeah. I think that's where it comes from, and I think Shrek deserves another crack. He deserves another good movie.
They've been saying for like the last how many years there's going to be a part 5?
Yeah, a long time. Puss in Boots sucks.
I never saw it.
So if we do Shrek 2, which we probably are tomorrow.
RNS listeners, we will get a Shrek 2.
Fucking thumbs up for Shrek 2.
Thumbs up for Shrek 2. If we don't get 10 likes, we're still going to do Shrek 2, but give us 10 likes, okay?
It sucks that Shrek really only had 2 good movies.
It does.
Because Puss in Boots was like, it was okay. Like as a kid, I'm sure if I watched it, it wouldn't be that great. But Shrek 1 and 2 are amazing. Like, you know.
I kind of liked 3 a little bit when I first saw it when I was a kid.
That was like the one with Merlin.
Yeah, and
I kind of like that one.
I liked it.
Rumpelstiltskin's 4.
Yeah, and that one was just bad. I was already a little bit.
I kind of like that one too.
Really? Yeah. Because I don't like that one. And then I tried rewatching 3 like years later, and I was like, oh, this is bad. Yeah. So I imagine if I watched it now, I would not like it at all. So So Shrek 1 and 2. You know what? Yeah, just give us a part 5, make it decent. Mike Myers, he's been cooking up in
the stew.
He's been cooking up in the lair for a little bit. We saw him in that Edgar Wright documentary.
Yeah, we were talking about when we saw the Edgar Wright documentary about the Sparks brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Myers pops his head out, and we were like, damn, he stepped out the lab for a little bit
we
just to
like,
pop his head out.
Yeah, we were like, where the fuck has Mike Myers been?
He really, yeah. It's funny because I hear people talk about people like Mike Myers, and they're like, oh, he got shunned out of Hollywood. He made too many shitty movies. It's like, nah, he's just rich, and he was tired of getting shit on. Like, he could get work if he wanted it.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's just rich as fuck, and he's like, well, I don't need to take this.
It's funny, we actually were talking about Inglourious Basterds, because Mike Myers has a cameo in that movie.
Does he?
Yeah. Huh?
Oh, cool.
For like a second. He's in like one scene.
I gotta watch that movie.
It's a good one.
I gotta watch that movie.
So yeah, that's Shrek.
That's Shrek 1. If you want to have some Shrek fun, leave a like for part 2.
Leave a like for part 2. That'll probably come, I don't know.
We'll probably do it soon.
Soon.
Because we had tentative plans for what we want to do in October. But before that, we don't really have any ideas. We're probably going to do School of Rock. Probably School of Rock and Shrek 2 are coming.
They're cooking.
And also, so Shrek 2, School of Rock, and we want to review the Nicktoons game when it comes out. That'll be fun. And then generally in October, we want to do some horror themed stuff. So
if you have any suggestions, the 2 active listeners we have, 2, 3, 4 active listeners we have, any suggestions on what horror movies you want to see, just leave a comment, please.
You mentioned Halloween, the first Halloween. That's a fun idea. I had the idea, being the superhero fan I am. I wanted to do some darker horror-themed superhero movies, such as, for example, Spawn, the 2019 Hellboy.
Oh, God.
Classic films such as that.
No, so...
No, but for real, I did want to do, The Crow, maybe the first Hellboy movie, Darkman. So, I mean, I'm just saying, if any of those speak to you, let us know. Maybe we'll just fucking do the first comment we see.
Yeah. We got some ideas.
We're cooking up.
We're going to do Mike Myers, The Love Guru.
Oh, also, yeah. Oh, yeah, we're also going to do Year One. The Year One. And, some classic comedies such as that.
For sure.
Bucky Larson. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. Evan, if you had to rate Shrek out of 10, what would you rate Shrek?
I would give it, maybe not 10. Part 2, I'd pretty much give it 10. But this one, because of some of the weird writing stuff we were talking about at the end, I give it a 9.
I give it an 8 or 9. Yeah. I think I would just if I had to put a super specific grade on it.
It's definitely classic.
I give it an 85. I give it a B+.
Okay.
That's what I give it.
Well, that's a little too specific for me.
Oh crap. I'd give it 2 stars out of 3. Is that non-specific enough? Okay. Can that be our grading system?
2 out of 3.
1 out of 3 stars. 1 to 3 stars. Can that be our grading really system?
Good, yeah. That'll be hard as hell.
That's the classic RNS grading system from now on. 1 to 3 stars.
I'm gonna stick with out of 10. I like that.
No, 3 stars.
Well, anyways, thank you all for listening to our Shrek episode. We kept this one shorter because it is a shorter movie.
Yeah,
so.
We couldn't drag this one too long out unless we started covering other movies and shit. Yeah. But it was fun. It was nice. It was a little breezy. Thank you for listening. Again, if you did enjoy it and you're somehow still listening to us talk and ramble on, leave a like. If you had any thoughts on Shrek, if we're completely wrong about the gnomes, you thought the gnomes looked really good for the time. The elves, they look really good for the time. Leave a comment. Leave a hate comment. Thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share, repost. All that.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Follow the Instagram. Link in bio.